everyone, Richard out there. Welcome to FM Trend TV, where every day is an awesome day to learn about the FileMaker platform. Today is a day that's going to blow your mind. Actually, my mind has been thoroughly blown, and the problem is there's some really tremendous implications of it, and there's also the complexity of interacting with Claris, which are a bunch of Apple employees who kind of have a plan, kind of. So yeah, so we have to kind of make all that work together. So today is day 5 days. I offered Todd to come back on Monday, but he said call us
Can't.
because we can't come
No,
on
but I'll come
Monday.
back. I'll come back. When we're planning a big comeback, or maybe
Yes.
I'll see if I can do like Todd Tuesdays. We've already talked about stuff like in July, I think, or whatever it is, and we'll do that, and then I've got lots of things to talk about, so
Yeah,
we'll
you
do it.
have way too much to talk about, which is going to lead us to our Kickstarter at the end of this show today. So anyway, today is the last day with OttoFMS. I will tell all of you that Todd has rolled out more faster than I can roll it out at RCC. We started rolling out OttoFMS. It's on my personal server now. It's on the BVA server here with these people here behind us. It's on a number of RCC development servers. Jacob's trying to test it to make sure it doesn't fall over dead. I doubt it will. And then what happens is that after that, we're going to look at more of expansive use for it. But then the webhooks yesterday, just webhooks by itself, it was a big deal yesterday. It hurt my head. So, by the way, for everyone involved here, and that's kind of where this conversation is, a lot of you are getting a lot of free stuff. I've gotten a lot of free stuff for Todd. I'm trying to figure out where along the lines I can buy something from Todd to like help put money back in the kitty with those guys, because I can see OttoFMS being a really big deal. We would want to use that. And anytime I get free from people, I always somehow want to pay them right back somehow. We'll see what happens, but I always want it to be a win-win. I get something awesome and I give someone some money for it. It's always better when it's a win for everyone, because then they don't feel like they're getting boned in the process. So I don't want Todd to feel boned.
No, don't worry about it.
Uh,
There's I mean, people there's we didn't I should at least probably mention like FM perception and FM comparison, other ways you can pay us money. FM perception is a great analysis tool, and I'll show the screen. People can go and check it out.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Super
jump over there,
fast,
Margaret. Let's
blah
do
blah blah.
that real quick. Yeah,
Are we
we've
ready to
actually
go?
had David Ramsey was on the show about a year and a half ago. Yeah, you're
Oh
good.
yeah,
You can
so
go
you
ahead.
had Dave on. So yeah. So FM perception is our thing, and you can buy that from us, and that's very nice. And you know, other
Please, Phil,
things to
if
be
you want an
coming.
analysis tool, put some money in that or buy something, whatever. But
Buy
the
some
point is,
servers.
buy
Yeah.
some things. Yeah. So because at the end of the show, we're going to do a Kickstarter. I'm going to promote a Kickstarter that Todd's doing, right?
Well, I don't, yeah, we'll see. We'll see
And
where it
we're going to
goes.
see if we can get, the problem is we need some people to get in behind that. So, okay.
We'll see what people think, and we'll see
Yeah.
what
Okay.
what we can do.
Okay, cool. All right. Go
Okay.
Todd, share your screen. What are we
Are we
doing?
ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Okay. Uh, Let me just start here in case anybody is still wondering. So this is FM Perception real quick, fmperception.com. You can come here, download a trial, and it's a blazing fast analysis tool. That's the big thing. The other tools they work in a different way, and they have some benefits with the way they work. But one of the big thing is that they have to import everything before they can show you one answer. FM Perception is almost instant in terms of how fast you can start getting, like, where's that variable used? You can answer that very, very quickly with FM Perception.
Mm.
One more thing, and then another thing, and then we're going to talk about MCP servers and MCP clients and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yes, we also have a couple eclectic questions from yesterday we should probably
sure.
tackle at
What
some
do you
point.
got?
Okay.
Hit me up with those right away.
Uh, does it have to be a domain name or can it be on a local with an IP address? I'm getting
Domain
a
names
five.
are required.
Okay.
Yes.
He's getting a 500 error when using an
That'll
IP.
do it. You
Yep.
must. In fact, it's one of the things on our getting started on the docs where it steps you through all the things. It will say, yeah, so it's the second one. You have a fully qualified domain name for your server and a valid cert. That is required. Now you can do, if you want to make your own certs, you can do it, but it's kind of a pain. And the reason for this is that supporting IP addresses and self-signed certs is actually a much bigger pain and much less secure overall. Auto 3 used to do that, and we took it away because of the amount of support problems that it had and the security implications. So we basically say, you got to have a cert. And we recognize that some people, they have to work a little hard to do that because they're like in secure stuff, and we apologize, but it's really the best thing. And people usually that are in highly secure, like cut off, like we have a couple of national labs using it and things like that. They don't have access to the internet. There's no internet inside some of those places.
Yeah.
And so they run with IP addresses. And my answer is these guys usually know how to make their own certs and they can do it. So that's what we tell them they got to do. It is a little bit of a pain point, but the downsides are less than the upsides of trying to make that work right. So anyway,
Yeah.
There you go.
there you go.
The other one that I had, which we might have gotten this one, but it's in my list, so I'm going to read it anyway. Can you add a secondary file in case of the first file is down for webhooks?
You could sort of do that, I mean, that's basically what Simple Queue is like the file that catches all the webhooks. And that is one way to do that. And then you process them out of that file. But the webhooks, you're going to get one URL, and that URL is going to connect to one database only. And there's not a way to have there be a failover except, like I said, have a database that doesn't go down. Essentially, it's always open. That's what Simple Queue kind of is. So there's that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Other questions?
I think we're good. I think we got the last two that were hanging out yesterday that we missed. So you are good to go.
Groovy, 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 groovy. Okay, so here we are. So one more thing. So this is the thing that I was aiming at for this whole week, and I'm going to try to complete the whole story around what Automatic is and where it's aiming. So let's do it first by this. Highlander, there can be only one. So this is a CRM. This is the demo files we've been working with. This is actually the file itself. All the data has been randomized in it. We have a way to, after you do, like we can move customer files or our own internal files that we want to use for demos. We can, as part of a deployment, we can randomize all the data inside it, which is kind of great. So you get these weird, funny names,
Yes.
UK systems and all that. So that's a story for another day. But anyway, that's our CRM, and that is what we got here. This is a vibe coded, AI coded up fake web page, landing page for Highlander.
Okay.
Which I did up last night using Cursor.
Okay.
And it's got this big button on here. It says deploy now. Right. So let's click that and we get an instant deployment. So we'll enter in my name and we'll enter in an email address and we'll launch my CRM empire. Boom. Deployment initiated. Launch to a new screen where, because I am already logged into Automatic, I can add any one of my servers, like staging, for example. And then I can click next, and it is going to say, go for it. So the files are already there, so it's going to overwrite it, but we'll just pretend it's going to do a migration, and I'll just start deployment. And deployment is started, and there it goes. Those files are being deployed onto the server. So imagine, Richard Carlton, if that was FM starting point. And that's how easy it would be for starting point to get deployed. Now, in this case, I was already logged into the Automatic console, so all of my servers were there. But if I wasn't logged in, there is another option, and I'll run back. And by the way, it's done, it's finished. So those files are now on the server. So just again, to walk through that, deploy now. I click a button. We'll do it one more time. Launch my CRM Empire. I go to a page, and now let's say I'm not logged in. I can just enter any AutoFMS server that's running, give it an API key, and I'm on. And I'm on board. So I built sort of part of the workflow that you were talking about yesterday, which is somebody wants to try starting point and then get it installed immediately on a server. So this is kind of the simple version where we go through automatic to do that. But
Back up. So to make this not okay, so here's the corner for this, and I'm for the moment just talking to Todd like I am Richard Carlton. I'm not thinking about anyone in the audience, although this will be applicable to some of the SBA people. Someone comes to my website, says I have FileMaker Pro. I'd like to try a CRM. I don't have a server, right?
yeah,
You have to be able to push a button and have it corkscrew its way onto a server somewhere
that's right.
and give them access to that without, and I'm not being a dick about this at all. I'm just saying without all this stuff, it just has to go right to the end where it says it's done, right? And yet everyone's happy, right? So,
Yeah, but in what we have, so this is sort of the simplest version of that, but we can totally do this skipping this page. In fact, we can skip this page and spin up a server and install the files on a brand new server.
yeah. This and everyone, just so what you're wondering about out loud, this is the conversation about FileMaker freemium is really where this goes, right? That's where the biggest use of this is. I mean, running around trying to push the CRM is one thing. I think that has some utility, but where this would make a huge difference, because at the end of the day, Claris, I have yet to see any sort of freemium movement on them at all. And if they are doing,
I mean, freemium, I think so what we're trying to solve here really quickly is I've got a solution and I want to share it. What's the easiest way to share it? That's like the baseline.
I get that. I get that. Yeah. So then would you give them access to WebDirect that way? Because they're not going to have Pro installed, or they're going to have Pro installed already. What is that?
Yeah. So once their server is up, if it's a WebDirect solution, you just email them credentials. If it's not, if they don't have FileMaker Pro, then you email them the download links to FileMaker. Yeah.
No, this is really awesome. This solves half of the part of the problem with freemium, and this is what Ernest Coe and I would discuss, and he made the case for, is that the magical sauce to get people to really appreciate FileMaker is when you have a solution and it's on a server and you share it collaboratively, and person A makes an edit and person B sees it in real time.
Yeah.
And we have to have that. In order to have that, we have to have a way of deploying a demo or solution without the people having to actually build the server.
That's right.
And Claris cannot, for the life of them, do this, right?
Yeah, and so we can.
You can't.
That's what this is here. That's what this is. So we can do this either in like a sort of semi-public way where you go through automatic where you just pick your server, or the server is kind of pre-picked. It could be another. You can see there's a URL here, right?
Yeah.
There's a parameter here. It could have another parameter that's got the target for the server, and then it can just be automatically installed on that server. Or in the case of, our platform for spinning up servers is fully automated. So we can spin you up, and we could have you pick a data center or just automatically pick a data center that's nearby you and just plop those files on a server for you. Either depending on the size of the solution, it could be a little Docker server that's good for 1 or 2 people, if that's the kind of solution you're doing, or it could be a bigger one that's good for 10, 20, 30, whatever. And so we can run that whole process. The main idea is that it starts here. You get a button, you fill out a form where you enter your stuff, and then the next thing that goes off is the solution is going to be installed on a server, either a server that already exists or one that's being spun up. And at the end of that process, people get an email with instructions on what to do next. And that is what we're aiming at here. And we pretty much have in the bag. So
yeah. No, I agree. This is great. I'm just trying to figure it. So all of you, this is another tool, frankly, in your arsenal of things that are solved by automatic, right? To be clear. And for the SBA people, you want a solution, spin it up, demo it for someone. By far, there's not even a question. You have to do this. If you want to be relevant, you want to be able to demo this stuff easy, you must do this, period. End of story.
Yeah. And so that's on the front side. Now the front side, obviously, is going to be somewhat branded for if people are serious, right? Like you're going to have your own FM starting point version of this, where you're going to have your pages and it's going to work the way
Sure.
that you want. But we wanted to make it easy for somebody who's like, doesn't even have anything. And that's kind of where we're starting here is like, we can give you, in fact, in our docs, I think I have a note for where this is. No, it's over here. Where's my links? Yeah, so we have this thing where after you do your build, which is what we're going to do next, you put your build URL, you can copy HTML, click this button, you can paste it into a web page and you'll get a deploy now button that just works, right? Like that's where, and we can play with that in a second. But that's I wanted to show you the fancy, beautiful.
This is awesome. This is awesome. For me, it's like you've solved this problem. So now I'm working on to the, the business problem that we're trying to solve.
Right,
And
exactly.
my brain is spinning over here.
So you can see, like, these are this is the form selections that we just did. And so when we submitted that form on this page here, I just used the webhooks to pump that data into a FileMaker file from my, I'm using Next.js here, but wherever you have your form is, it just pump it in here. And then the other thing is what we're going to do now is let's look at what a build looks to get the file up there in the first place, right? So that is build pipeline. So let's take a look at, so we've looked at builds a little bit. This one's going to be a little bit different and you'll see what we did here. So we've got our 3 files set up in our build. In this case, Highlander utility, I'm saying is, so this is something this is the way we do it.
Yeah.
We choose a different method, but we actually, so when you install this the first time on the servers, the 2 main files, Highlander and integration, are clones. Highlander utility has any data that would get populated into those 2 clones on startup if it's the first time. And so we call this booting up from a clone. That way you only really have to have one version of your solution ready to go. It's clones plus 1 file that kind of boots things up. And there's other ways to do it. You can have that seed data on a cloud, and you could use insert from URL to pull down the data. Because usually when you're sending somebody a new solution, like FM Starting Point's probably got some data in the tables, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't go as a clone. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So, but if you do it, if you can, on the first time it opens, like populate it with the data from some other data source, then you only need to have 1 build. It's just got clones in it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so that's one thing. That's one way we do it. But so Highlander utility is a copy, so it has all the seed data in it. Then the other thing we do is we have a webhook called build pipeline that is going to every time this build starts or finishes, it's going to send data to this FileMaker file. Like we saw yesterday, auto receiver, right? Where you've got all this data getting pumped in.
Okay, so this is go back down. This is the push. It's going to push this.
What it's going to do is it's going to fire as soon as it starts. There's going to get a record in the inbox here. Hey, build started. And as soon as it's done, it's going to get a record. We're only in the scripts that I wrote for this. We're only looking for build succeeded. I think that's what we're looking for. What are we looking for here?
Yeah, but no, it's right there. Event build
succeeded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we run. Yeah,
where did you go back over here to your source? Click on it. Is there other data that's part of that string down there? Right?
No, that's the full URL. Yeah.
Okay, that's the URL, but then
that's the URL. So it's going to post. This is the target, and this is the data that's getting posted. All this stuff.
And that's coming from over here somewhere too, right?
It's the data about the build. Like in fact, I think I've got a calculation here that.
Yeah, right. There's a version. Yeah.
So you can see this is all the data that gets sent. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I really only need the version. out of here. That's all I'm need.
Uh-huh.
All I need. But you got a bunch of other things, and you could choose to log this or
Yeah, for
whatever you
everyone
want.
thinking about this, one of the things you can do, and he's doing this here, but you can send the notifications out of FileMaker
Yeah.
via this webhook into this simple queue or whatever collector
Yeah.
database you
Sure.
want to set up.
Or
And
you can
so
send it to Slack. Like you can send it anywhere.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But
SMS
the point is,
messages.
is that like FileMaker could do it for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So if you have a FileMaker file, it can.
So
I mean,
I'm using a
there's a
FileMaker
million
file.
things we. Yeah.
I'm using
Yeah.
a FileMaker file as the back end for this little build pipeline that I've built.
Mm-hmm.
So every time a build goes off, and let's run it so you can see.
Mm.
We got 36 records in here.
Mm.
Let's run the build. And wait, this should have publish.
Publish build.
Yeah, there it is. So publish is there. I don't know why that was off.
Okay.
So one more thing about the publish. So in the
Mhm.
publish, what I'm doing here is I'm sending the build itself is going up to the web over SFTP. So it's
Mhm.
going up to a pub, so I can reach it via public URL.
Mm.
Right. So that's the build pipeline. Does two things, well, three things. It makes our package, it ships the package up to the cloud, and then fires a webhook. And so at the end, when that build completed event
Mhm.
shows up, we've got a new build ready to go. And well, let's just run that and you'll see what happens.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I can maybe I can draw it out.
No. Well, it's just okay. This is the problem with you, Todd. You have so much. Okay, I don't want to say bad. Family safe words. Okay, let's make this family safe. You have so much awesomeness that it's my brain is still reeling from the previous days, right? And you're talking about builds of FileMaker, but I'm thinking about other million different applications. Everyone here is having thoughts about how they could use this.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
then right in the middle of it, you keep talking, and our brain is still spinning. I don't think very fast. I have to stew on something for a little bit. If I'm over here going like this, either I'm thinking about helicopters or I'm thinking about how I can use this you just said. And meanwhile,
Yeah,
you're still talking something new, and I didn't hear any of that. Right? That's my problem. So
we have people who use these features for a lot of things. So, and I could cover, like we have somebody who uses builds as a way to have a warm failover.
Really?
Like they're basically constantly every so often on their production server. I don't know how many times they do it. It's one of these situations where their files are a mess and the servers go down. So they're shipping off a build, which is the full file, to another server. So it's just ready. And if they need to go to another server, they can just do it like that. And so they use this process where they run a build, they ship it off to another server. And then when that server is done, when that build is done, they'll actually trigger the full installation and boot up of those files on the other server. So they always have another server with data that's as old as the
Okay, can we back up a second? When you were started talking about this initially, I was thinking about like you take a solution and you spin it up onto someone's FileMaker server, right?
Yeah.
So with starting point is limited application for that specifically because someone would already have to have automatic unless it's a demo or a trial or something like that. But
or
it's
it's
already
on some servers you guys are hosted that got automatic on it already. That got OttoFMS.
Yeah, but yeah. And then we can post it there for them, and they can. But you have to have a bit. The problem is starting point's free, and as how much money am I going to throw after? It's like you guys in free. How much am I gonna? Would you like a free trial of the free software so you can download for free? So I get no money because it's free. How many times free do I say in one paragraph? So, but I'm thinking about. But
it may not be useful for a free tool, but if you're like, so one of the things we can do with automatic is. We can when we spin up a server, we can actually make it vanish in 7 days or 14 days or whatever. With
see then we're back to this. I'm going to stay off this conversation, but that we're back to this issue of a freemium trial, a real freemium trial for FileMaker, right? Which so let's go back to your package thing for a second. Can we go back to your build? So you're uploading to a build to a public area. We build it.
Yeah.
And then it goes there and it gets zipped. I see the little zippy thing up there.
Yeah, it gets zipped. That's part of the build. When we collect the files from your source, we put them in a zip file.
What if I want a couple README files that goes with it? When I when I, when I build a
We
zip,
don't have that yet, but we've talked about it. I think we're going to do it. So
okay,
when
well,
you, so
when I
it, up
download a
here,
starting point, it's like is a file, and then there's a README, like README
yeah,
now, and the
it's a
license
good
or whatever.
idea. So we would add like additional files to include in the build.
Yeah, they're normally just text files or a
Yeah,
PDF or something.
yeah. So that's a good idea. We should do it.
Well,
So
well, in order for me to build this and use this to make builds, which I would love to do, then we'd have to have a way
you
of.
got a complex problem, but we should talk because you got all those copies of files that you got to deal with.
Yeah, and I got to patch. We got to get your patch stuff working. There's
Yeah.
that
So
too.
there's
So
you got a complex situation.
I'm
Might be
sorry.
challenging to do, but so let me draw this out because I think I probably skipped over some stuff that made it
Let me undo
a little
my
bit
scribble.
harder.
Sorry. Here we go. Yes, make pictures.
So
I prefer pretty pictures. Margaret, do we have questions? People need to ask. I feel like
Oh,
it's me and.
no, we have questions. I've just been waiting for you two to cycle down to a
Okay,
spot
why
where I
don't
can
you
like
ask a question
interject.
because Todd will try to incorporate these as he draws pictures. What are the questions?
Is there an option to have it download instead of going onto a server, i.e.
yes,
just use
That's
it
there
on
what
is.
some
that's what we're
Chrome?
talking about right here. In
Yeah.
fact, that's what I missed the first time. He could zip it and park it on a
Let me draw a thing here. I think this will maybe I probably should have started here. Let's go here. So here's our build server, right? This is where our files are. We're going to build it. We're going to build it. So what a build is going to do
Mhm.
is it's going to do two things. We're going to put a web server over here. This is a big web server. And then it's got another this is a FileMaker file. So we go, hey, make me a build,
Okay.
right? So do it. And what it does is it's going to make a zip
Mhm.
and a JSON file, it's called manifest JSON.
Okay.
And that just says like what's in the zip, basically.
Sure.
And so this guy's going to do what, this line. This guy's going to do that.
Yep.
And then it's going to
gonna
send it
go.
up to the web server.
Okay.
Okay.
And then people could, then download it because
If they knew where the URL was,
yeah,
they
because
could,
we're already managing that
right.
URL because we
If they
do.
could, if they knew what the URL, if they looked at the manifest file, they could download the zip. And that's like
Mhm.
we'll take a look at that in a second. And then the second thing it does is it alerts this FileMaker file, creates a record, says the build's done. And this is important. You'll see why in a minute.
So that's our notification, Margaret. That's our notification. Our simple.
Yeah, it's our
queue,
notification, but it also is a couple other things. Like if you think about like it's also a record of all the things you've published, right? So you have
Sure.
you have your deployments.
Mm.
I'm not sorry, those are deployments. We want Highlander version. So I've published 2 versions so far.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Because I know where it's going and I know the version, I can
Mhm.
calculate the URL to the manifest. And so if we load that manifest, this is what it is. It's got all the stuff.
Mhm.
It's got the files, the passwords, everything it needs to do the things that it needs to do, right? So that's what the manifest is.
Mhm.
And it's like the instructions of what's in the zip, right?
Right.
And so that goes up and then if we do let's do another build so we can watch it happen. Let's kick it off here. Wait, what?
You need a new version.
Oh, I need a
number.
new version because
Yeah, you already have a 119.
I already have 119. So it's telling me don't overwrite your versions
Yeah.
unless you want to, but I don't. So we're going to do that. So start now.
Okay.
Boom.
Hey,
So
this is gonna suck if I don't get confetti.
you're going to get confetti.
I love confetti.
There's always confetti. So when the build is done, we should see a new record pop up in here. So this is also like your previous versions are just stored.
No. I think this right here, I have an absolute. There goes
There
confetti.
is confetti. And there, look.
I have absolutely used all okay, the only thing you'd have to do, Todd, is stick a couple a README and a PDF or some sort of like that, and then I could totally use this tomorrow.
Yeah. So now we've got the URL to our manifest, and if we want to go back to the, I mean, you would want just to get an idea, like you put that in there and you get these two buttons.
Mhm.
If you copy this HTML, this will be a little snippet you can put on any HTML page.
Mhm.
And it will actually, that would install that build. Boom. So if you had like, you could have a list of all the versions, right? And in fact, you've got a file with all the versions in it. So you could easily use a data API to make a web page, got all the versions and a link to download that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or to
Yeah.
install it on AutoFMS, either way. Because part of what's in the manifest is a link to the zip.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, you
So
need
in
that. That's
here,
the, from my perspective,
somewhere,
that's the one thing I really, really need, right? Is the
somewhere
zip.
in here, there's a link to this. Oh, the zip. It just tells you what the zip archive name is, and
Okay.
it's always at the same level. So
Same directory. Yeah.
if we do that, it's going to download the zip. Boom,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
now you've got a file that you can target with anything, some JSON,
Yeah.
and you load that file and you say, oh, from there I can get the zip. And so now you can make people, they can download the zip, or if they want to kick off an installation, they can do that too and install it on a server. So this is our build pipeline that put up
Mm.
the new version. And then, so what I'm using this, the other thing I'm using this for is
Mm.
on my handy dandy beautiful thing here.
Mhm.
I don't want to have them to, I want them to always get the last build, right?
Mm.
So that's just simple. This is just using the data API. I go in here, I say I sort, I say get the last record basically, and that's
Yeah.
my latest.
Yeah.
Boom. And so when I start from here and I kick somebody off, they're always getting the build. I don't have to update my web page. If I use this manual method, every time I ship a new version, I'm going to have to copy and, put that in, do that. But if I just save it in a database and then query to get the last record, we're good to go.
So we could, that it's, yeah, I am an idea guy like you are, and there's a lot of ideas, and of course, there's always people pushing back, telling you can't do your idea, and I can tell you deal with that very well, like I do. I normally go around them. So, there's a lot of Margaret. There's got to be questions. I can't feel like I'm
Yeah,
the
why don't
elephant
we
here.
stop here and get some questions?
He said you answered this one, but I'm going to ask it out loud anyway because someone else might not have caught it. Where is the public space that the build is placed? Is it on an FM server somewhere?
It's
The
wherever you.
build, so there's a couple different places you can put it, and it just again sort of depends on your use case. But you actually have a lot of there's pretty much you can do pretty much anything with this with the flexibility that we have. So if you look at this in the publish
Can you
options, so
can you publish to S3?
you
I'm assuming.
can
Okay.
publish to S3. Well,
Okay.
actually, yes, you can publish to an offsite location,
Mm-hmm.
which is an S3 bucket on the server.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can publish to an S3 bucket. We call them offsites because that's what they're connected up with originally, but they're not really. They can be used for anything. In fact, we're probably going to have a feature that uses that will let you serve container data. Like kind of like Super Container does, but just off an S3
Yes.
bucket. You just connect up an offsite backup, an offsite location, and say this is for containers, and then you'll have a whole, like Super Container.
We've done that before just by hand
Yeah, yeah.
manually, but we
So we're pretty
we
close
script
to
it,
do
so
that.
we put it in there, and then we put it on the S3 because it's too big to deal with
Right.
within FileMaker.
It's
just too big.
putting a lot of files in FileMaker, even with external storage, makes your whole thing a little brittle because we have people with
Yeah.
terabytes of external
Yes.
container data, and
Yeah.
they're stuck on a server because you literally cannot move off that server. And you really ideally want your servers to be as disposable as possible because if they
Yes.
go belly up, you want to be able to spin up a new one. But if you're dealing with 2 terabytes of data, you're stuck. Like you literally can't move. You have to make sure that server and those disks do not crash because otherwise you are completely hosed.
Boo bar.
So
Yes.
anyway, we call them offsites, but really it's an S3. It's an S3 bucket, right? So
The question, ask that question, Marcus. So it's where can they publish it, but really it's wherever you want it to go, right?
yes, and so the simplest ones are there's a really simple solution, which is the HTTP folder on your FileMaker server, which is public. That's the thing that shows up in the file browser. This guy right here, right? This is that. If you just go to this directory, That's the public server.
You said you were gonna look at Dropbox, right? Are you still make
Yes,
sure
we
you guys do
still
that
could look at,
because
still would do Dropbox. Yeah.
what we do just internally at RCC, because we have multiple people managing it, we have a directory, shall we say, in Dropbox that is our public facing site, or what we intend to be public facing
Yeah.
site. And
So
we
you
drop
can
shit. Yeah.
even without it, you got the tools to be able to automate it,
Yes.
because what we do is so there's two things that happen. The first thing we do is we get it off the server, right?
Yep.
Because that's kind of the key. You don't want it
Yeah.
on the server again, because if you want a permanent archive of your versions, right? So that's first thing, is get it off the server. The second thing is, once it's off the server, once again, you've got this notification. This build, you could send a webhook
Mhm.
to something like Claris Connect or N8N or a little Node app or PHP app that basically says, oh, hey, you got a new build. Let me get that build and I'll put it anywhere, including Dropbox. You could shove,
Yeah.
or Google Drive. Let me
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
into Google Drive, right? Because you've got the file in the cloud, you've got a
Mhm.
URL,
Mhm.
you can reach it,
Mhm.
and now you can put it wherever you need to put it, right? So you have pretty much everything you need to do a build pipeline.
Mm.
So, and I like, I don't want to spend it too much more time, because I got some other things I want to show, but
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the things I, like why we do this. I think it's important. So what we're trying to do is give people a way to easily share stuff, which is really hard, frankly, in FileMaker. There's not like a standard way of doing it. Even if you go to the marketplace and then click through and download something, and then like you have to have a FileMaker server, or you have to know how to put it up. So what if we could just have packages like builds, and they knew
Mhm.
how to install themselves, right? And then what if I could make a button and put it on a web page? Say, hey, I made this simple FileMaker file. Check it out. Click, deploy, done, right? Like if we can get to that point, then people could share things easier. And if they want to sell them, great, have a way to sell them. But even if they
Sure.
just want to share them, like here's my starter solution, have at it. Or like if you're a dev shop and you've got a set of starters that you use for every new project, make builds, and then you just got a click button, pick the server you want to install it on, and install it. And then you don't have to deal with like manually uploading those files to the server and all that stuff. Make it simple. And that's what we're really trying to go for here. So build pipelines. And it's not that this use case is something that everybody wants to do necessarily, but I think it's like it's a cap on top of all of the pieces that we had to lay down as foundations. This whole thing is resting on top of that. We needed builds, so we needed something on AutoFMS. We needed webhooks. We needed to be able to, to push these files up to the cloud. All the little pieces we needed APIs to be able to call this stuff. All the pieces that are the foundational layers of Automatic and AutoFMS are required to do a build pipeline like this.
Mm.
And because you have the APIs and because you have all these hooks, you can build all kinds of automations on top of your workflows now. And that's really, kind of what we're really after, that is to make it possible for people to do whatever they want in terms of automating their server stuff, their development life cycles, their offsite backups, pushing to production, pushing to multi-tenant SBAs, doing all that stuff. We want to make that all possible. And that's really what AutoFMS and Automatic are really aimed at. So
Perfect.
we groovy?
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Questions? We don't have any questions. Yeah. Jacob Taylor's answering some questions on your behalf in the Discord.
Oh, that's
So
nice
yeah,
of him.
he's a nice guy, actually, shockingly enough.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Next. We ready to move on?
We
Yep.
are.
Okay. Let's have some fun.
We weren't having fun already?
Did I put this on the master link list? Let me see if I did. Okay. So this is another free thing. You can download this file. It's just a FileMaker file. And let me open it up here. And let me do something over here real quick because I forgot to get this part. So this is
FileMaker coding assistant. I should be should I be concerned about this? This looks amazing. What will
yeah,
it
I mean it's
do?
okay. Like
It's okay.
I mean it's an experiment to try to see how far I could get within a certain part of time, and I got it to where it's I think mildly useful. And so let's check it out. So let's say I don't know, let's go into one of our files here. Let's see what I got for scripts. So let's capture this. I'll collect it off the clipboard and say explain
Okay, checking.
this script to me.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Send. There we go.
Well, hurry up. Holy.
Okay, so it gives us a pretty good It gives us a pretty
Whoa.
good step through. Let's say okay, display this script, but add our script comment headers. Oh, somehow that's interesting. Oh, it didn't. I really spelled it horribly there. So
Mm.
it did what I asked, sort of. And but without. I think it saw that as without script comment
Without,
headers.
yeah, it removed all the. Yeah, I'm like,
Let's
whoa, all the
so that
comments
was
are.
me. But with our script comment headers.
Yeah, try that. So,
So what's happening here is it's going to OpenAI. It's using OpenAI to process this, and it's doing some extended thinking to try to figure out what do I mean by this stuff. And no, it's still not doing it. Wow, that's really interesting. Um, Interesting. So this is what I mean. Like, this is the part, like I was telling you, I need to be able to spend some
spend
more
more
time
time
on
on
this. Yeah.
time on it.
But
Yeah.
let me see what we can do here. Display this script with and add our comment header comment headers. There we go.
Okay.
I don't know why I got so confused, but this is what I mean. I need to like do more tightening of it. So it's written out the script. Now the problem is, of course, this isn't, so to get script in and out of FileMaker, we have to do XML. And it does
Yeah.
a pretty good job of reading XML, but it cannot build the XML deterministically. And I think
Mm.
this is important part of what I wanted to talk about here at the end around AI is AI is pretty cool, but it can do amazing things that are probabilistic. In other words, it can look at a bunch of data and figure out what to do. But unless you get really good at tightening it down, it's going to come up with a different answer every time, right?
Yeah.
So you have to give it constraints, and you have to give it rules to follow. And that's what you do by prompt engineering. People have probably heard and done some of that stuff with like Claude or ChatGPT or whatever. And
Sure.
so we're doing some of that behind the scenes. We're doing some prompt chaining, and we're using rules, which basically say, hey, when you try to figure this out, it's got to match these rules. And if it doesn't, try again. So we're doing stuff like that. Um, so, and so it can be creative. It can do things like it can figure out what you want and it can answer. Like it knew that I've told it about our commenting style. And this is what one of the commenting styles we use in our stuff, and so it added it to that. That's all fine and dandy, but it doesn't really help me unless I can convert this back into XML. And so we've got some things here. I'm going to click this where we're going to see what XML it comes up with, and see if it has any errors. And it looks like it's got everything pretty good. I don't see any errors yet. Looks pretty good. Oh, there's an error. So this is weird. Like, I don't know why it's missing this set variable. This always used to work, and now it's
Hmm.
not. This is what I mean. It's like kind of challenging to get it to do the
Mhm.
right thing, but I was able to produce almost everything else, pretty much everything else correctly. I know there's a couple other issues, but one of the other things so then we can just copy this to the clipboard,
Hmm.
and then we can come back in and let's just make a new script here. and we'll paste it.
Oh,
Oh, no, that didn't. No, it's not done. Sorry, it's not done converting. That's the old one.
oh
That's
yeah.
the
I was
one I had
like,
the
what the
clipboard.
hell?
So it's done now. So let's see if there we go. So now it's got my comments in there. And like I know layouts. I need to fix the layout tool. It
Mhm.
doesn't work right. I think it needed Highlander versions.
This is a huge deal. So how?
And
So
then
Yeah,
can I?
this
this
one,
is
I have to fix
huge.
this one. It's not quite right.
So is Claris kind of thinking about this or
Oh
not?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
'Cause-
yeah, yeah. To be clear, they are thinking about this. They are working on
Well,
they are
okay,
working on
back
stuff.
up. But if you've talked to them and you thought that they were going to build this anytime soon, which we need this like now,
Yeah.
um, then you wouldn't be bothering building your own, but you're building your own because for whatever reason you don't think that it's a front burner
No,
project with
so
them.
I started this project. I did this before Engage, actually. So beginning of this
Oh,
year. And it wasn't
okay.
clear whether how quickly Claris was going to be able to move or do stuff on it. And um, it's still like this is a challenge for them to do inside of the product. I mean, I have some advantages. Like I'm not working. I mean, this is a FileMaker file, but it's running a web
Okay.
viewer. So everything I'm doing is actually running on a server, right? And like it's not tightly integrated. Like if Claris is going to do this, they're going to have to do it like, differently. They're going to have to do it like inside the calc dialog box or inside the script maker window. I can't do that. And so therefore I can do some other things quickly, but I have to do this copy and paste thing, right? So it's really a different path that we're going down. For me, it was really about understanding. I learned a lot about like how to build AI tools, like how to make AI
Right.
do what you want, right? So some of the things I had to do to pull this off was, so how this works is kind of interesting. It looks at this text and it basically decides that I taught it to take every line as a script step, then figure out what of the 209 script steps there are, it is. And then
Hmm.
I had to write some custom code that knew how to produce the XML perfectly for that
Ah,
script step,
yeah.
right? So I had to write like
And that
210 rules basically, and 210 functions that produce the proper XML. So I was learning how to do all this and figure out how to do rules, and like I got pretty good, but for some reason my classification on this here is failing, which is
mhm.
really weird because that's a pretty easy one. It should know that that's a set variable. So I don't know. I got to go back and tweak it.
Yeah,
So
no, but I mean, and this is what we were talking about earlier about a Kickstarter, right? So, because the idea, and not whether it's a Kickstarter or whatever, but if we had a X number of people in the FileMaker community who put a couple bucks in, then Todd could spend some dedicated cycles on this and bang this out, right?
I can make it better.
Um,
Like and I can work with whatever Claris gives me to like update code. Right now it's copy and paste. That's what I have. We built that in pretty good, and there's some things that are kind of interesting about this. I'm not storing like none of this data is reaching our it's going to our servers, but we're not storing any of this. This is actually stored on your computer. So if I get a new copy of the file and I open it, this stuff's still going to be there because I'm storing it in the web browser's memory, which is kind of cool. So there's
hmm.
some fun stuff that we're doing here, but I do need a server and I do need to spend more time to like really make this nice and tweak these rules to get it better. And then I could get to where, you could write scripts. And like I write scripts with this sometimes. Like, so somebody was asking, oh, I know the question I wanted to ask.
Give us a demo here. Give us a
So
demo
here,
that's
so
doing
here
something.
is here's a way which I use this today, and I'll go do a simple one. We can use yeah. So right, let's go in and let's copy this table deployments, and we'll do a new chat, and I'll paste that in, and I'll say here is a FileMaker table. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab, somebody asked this question yesterday. Oh, it's in this file. I'm going to go to, and I'm going to grab, boom, here's some JSON, right?
Oh, Lynn. Okay, Lynn was asking if I could ask this question again. So now we've
Yeah.
circled back. Pay
So
attention.
this is some JSON, which I need to parse into this table, the above table. Write me a FileMaker script
Okay.
that takes the
Yes.
JSON as the script parameter
This would actually be useful.
and goes to layout named I'm using layout name because it handles layout by name better. Layout,
Okay.
because I can't spell it. Layout named, what's the layout name? It's named deployments, right? Deployments, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Hmm.
um and creates a new record and populates it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, and
All
let's
right.
say yeah, sure, it should work.
Mm.
Okay. So it's gonna spend some time thinking. But I actually use this all the time because what I loved it, this is actually what I use it for most because sometimes I just want to scaffold up a big script and I don't want to type all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just come in here and I'll even use my voice. I'll use a voice
Oh,
prompt and then just get the whole thing in place. And then I know it's at a state where I'm going to have to fix it, but at least I got all this stuff written, right? So let's see what it came up with. So Sarah capture on. So it's parsing the parameters out. It's getting email version, going to layout deployments, create a new record,
it's
setting it.
commenting the code. Oh my God.
It's looking like it's doing a pretty good job. So let's just copy it and paste it into the file and see what it does, right?
All
So
right.
click
So,
that.
what Todd's asking everyone, obviously you can see where this is going, right? And I'm going to assume, so what Todd's asked is he's looking for a bunch of people to kick
Well, to
in.
be clear, I should be very clear. What I am trying to do is judge whether or not this is worth, because if we're going to do it for real, we're going to have to
Mhm.
charge something for it. So that means some combination of numbers of people or amounts of money that smaller numbers of people will pay has got to get us to a level where we think it's worth doing. Otherwise, we'll just wait for Claris to do whatever they're going to do. And I know they're working on it. So let's make a new script and let's see what it did. Did I click the copy button? I don't know if I did. I may not have. So copy that to the clipboard. So yeah, it still blew the layout and it blew the show record, but it got everything else. So you fix the layout,
Mm.
right? And it got this is the stuff I
Mm.
hate doing is this parsing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
actually really good at parsing JSON.
Mm.
So then it's even got a commit record in here, which is nice. The show custom dialog. Uh, oh, it tried. It just didn't. It didn't get the comments quite right there, but it got close.
Oh, so then it Margaret, you see where it tries and then it comments it out. That's what you normally see
Yeah.
that when you duplicate something, it can't really
Yes.
Can't
fully,
really do
and you
it.
get, it
It
kind
missed
of,
the quotes. This is another area my code has to get better. Is sometimes it can't tell the difference between a quoted and unquoted string. And then that's pretty much right. Like we don't really need the deployment record. Who
That would
cares?
save me so much time.
But that's pretty much right, right? Like that's pretty cool. And then so I wrote this. So let's tweak this. So let's change it and say, you know what? Instead, what I want to do is, you know what? Let's do an upsert. So instead of making a new record, if the person has already installed it, let's just update that record instead of a new one, right? So we'd only see the last deployment that they did, not all the deployments. I probably don't want to make sense in this case, but just to show what it can do. You know what? Actually, let's do this too. Whoop, hang on. Sorry. Cancel. Let's make this an upsert situation where we check to see if the person has already installed or already done a deployment. So we can check using their email. So if we find a record with that email, let's just update that record instead of creating a new one. Let's see what it does. Isn't this cool?
Hey, hot air balloon Ken, you said you use generator to set up the JSON parse. So what the hell is generator?
Generator is another tool I read a long time ago, which I honestly haven't looked at in probably 5 or I don't know, more years.
You built it or who
I did,
built it?
yeah.
You did. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was an early take before we had AI. It was here's JSON, here's tables, make a script that parses it. So yeah, I do it this way now. So, but it did it. Look, it said enter find mode, pause, set deployments to email. This is going to screw up because emails, you got to quote emails, right?
Yes, the special characters. So
yeah, but it did it, and so now we can copy this place in, and so I think it's kind of useful as it is. It needs work, you know. It's not going to catch all
Todd,
the issues and that kind of thing.
Can I make a suggestion? The
Sure.
data you want, I can help promote and send people to, but you guys need like before the Kickstarter, a Kickstarter just to get people to commit or not commit if they wanted to support it. But us just taking a vote in the hand, you know how squishy that is, right? So,
well, I mean, start with who in Discord wants this thing.
Like, well, I mean, who's willing to put $10 in a month or $20 in a month for this? How much is it worth it to you? Of course, the problem everyone here has been trained that they want free, right? So,
hey, well, we've been talking about free stuff for 5 days.
Yeah, I know. Somewhere they're going to have to fork out the greenback.
It's just a question of because Claris is going to do this too. So I just, I'm not
yeah.
I'm not going to take a flyer on this and invest a bunch of time and then, but if people are interested and think it's worth it and are willing to put something forward, I would consider spending some more time on it. Maybe I can put aside, a week or two to take it to the next level. But I really just want to know how interested people are and whether they think it's worth pursuing.
I'd put money in, but yeah, what he's asking, Todd's being really nice. Let me rephrase this. Don't say that you're interested. Are you willing to put $100 into this? Because over $10 over a year is $120. How many of you? Yeah, Miguel said he put $100 in as a one-time thing on it, right? So yeah, so you got that. The question is how many people would be willing to do that, right?
It'd be interesting to see if we could ask through an email or mail.
Because this is so unofficial, right? Or back channel. I mean, I got people saying yes, but
I get it. But I'm just curious what people think. By the way, you can use this. Just go to that Vibex page we went to right here, and you can download the file, and it'll ask you to install base elements if you don't have it already, and then it will install it. And then you can just start using it. And you have to put your own open API key in. So you have to get an open API key that you're paying, that you put credits on so that you can use it. People can use it right now. And if you have questions or feedback, you can also go to the same community and there's a Vibex channel you can post stuff in. So if you want us to, another way you can upvote is to go there and tell us we want it. But it was really useful for me, and I think still even to play around with it, to understand what AIs can do, because it's really unavoidable now. If you're in this industry, you probably could have made it through 2024 without dipping your toe in, but I don't think you can finish 2025 without getting into AI. It's pretty critical. It has radically changed the way I work. The way I work today is unrecognizable from what it was just a few months ago in terms of, yeah. And part of it is the next topic I want to talk about. Okay. So let me move over to that. So let's talk about MCP servers. So by a show of hands in the Discord, who's heard of MCPs? Is it like nobody, or is some people?
David, who asked the question to begin with, said me in all caps.
So what MCPs are, it stands for Model Context Protocol, which is a new protocol put forward by Anthropic and has now been adopted industry-wide. And if you do a search for MCP servers, you will find tons of stuff because it's absolutely everywhere now. And Claris is very much aware and is working on this. But one of the things the main point I want to make today is that you can already today make MCP servers with FileMaker. And that's so it is, you can hook FileMaker into the hottest craze in AI, which are MCPs. Just know
Okay.
that. It totally works. Let's talk a little bit about how it works and what it is. So when you're chatting, like in a chat app like Claude or ChatGPT, you can have these great conversations, but it only has the data that whatever it can search the web now, and it has
Mhm.
whatever data that it was in alive on the web when it scraped everything and stole all your stuff. But what if you want to get data that is about your company into your chat and ask it questions about your company data? Right.
Mm.
That is what MCPs are good for. So the first, so see if I can draw this out a bit. So we got a chat, right? We got our chat window, right? Where we can type things, and then we got the little bubbles, right? So that's our chat.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
question is, how do we get data from, say, FileMaker or anything else into here so we can ask questions about, like, how many customers are in my database, right?
Mhm.
How do you do that? The way you do it is by connecting up an MCP server. An MCP server, one way to think about it is an MCP server it's an API for LLMs and chat and agents, right? So this is the type of API that the chats already understand. They already know
Okay.
how to use it. And so what you're basically doing is giving it stands for Model Context Protocol, because chats need context to be able to answer your question. They have the context of the
Mhm.
whole world up until the time they were put together, and then they can
Mhm.
search the web, but they can't get at your databases. So they can't ever load the context from your data into the chat. So they can't ask questions about it.
Mhm.
That's what MCPs are. They are a way of connecting this to any service, including a FileMaker server.
Mhm.
So it does this kind of thing. And now you can chat about your data. Does that seem interesting?
Okay. Yeah, you'd have to have your own MCP server or something because well, you wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily want that data going outside the company, right? Some
that's
people are
right.
going to lose it.
And so
Yeah. So.
you want to make MCPs that are private, have authentication to
Mhm.
your company data. And so
Mhm.
if you use Claude, it has support for MCP as an MCP client, which means it can talk to these protocols. And if we look at down here, I've got a bunch of these little tools. So
Mhm.
it can search my Google Drive, it can search Gmail, it can search my calendar.
Mhm.
So I can say like, what's on my calendar
Okay.
today? And it's gonna talk to my calendar. And so I see it's searching for calendar events. Here's what you have in your calendar, right? Look at that, Richard Carlton live stream. Woohoo! Right? So now I can actually talk about the things that I am doing. And in fact, because let me turn on, we use Harvest for time tracking. Let me turn on my Harvest MCP server that I built. So now I've got Harvest in there. I can say, okay, great. Make time entries into my Harvest time tracker
Mhm.
for the events on my calendar. Um, maybe so you have some context. I'm going to give it a little more context. Get my latest, actually, there's a way I can just load my latest time entries in, which I can just do to get my recent projects. So it even knows a little bit more
Mhm.
data about like what I've been working on.
Mhm.
So now I just go boom, and let's see what it does. So let me bring up my harvest here.
Okay.
This is today. So it just created these.
Okay.
It just created those. So now Claude
hmm
is my integration layer to everything I want to do in the world.
Okay, so this goes back to a video that Steve Jobs commissioned when he was interacting with his mobile. Remember that? It wasn't him, but this goes back to like, I don't know if it was Jobs' first pass here. I think it was probably his first pass at Apple. And the person is having an interaction like a college professor going on a trip. He's interacting with his iPad just like this, and it's
Yeah.
cross-decking all the information.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I remember it. Yes.
That is this right here
That is
specifically.
this.
Yes.
And the point that I want to make, and I'll give you a few hints how to get started. I know we're almost out of time, but you can build this. So if there's anybody in the audience that can write Node.js, you can build custom MCP servers entirely in Node. And there are instructions here for the TypeScript SDK. You can figure out how to use it. If you live in that ecosystem, this will work. And so you can use the FileMaker data APIs and OData to be these things. So if we look at like what I did, and I'm going to show you a FileMaker one in a second, but I didn't get as far as I wanted to for the demo. So just I'll use Harvest as an example. If you look at the tools that I've connected up, so here's Harvest. You can see it has 37 different things that it can do. So Claude figured out, because of what I told it, it said, oh, okay, where's the create time entry? Somewhere in here. Oh, I can search, I think. Yeah, I can search. So create time entry. So because of just how I was chatting, and because I had loaded my calendar data in there, it figured out how to call Harvest API and create those records. And you could also have it figure out how to call the FileMaker data API and create those records in FileMaker. You get it? Richard, I can't tell if you're
No,
like,
I know.
your head's
I'm
gonna explode or
trying. I'm
what.
struggling with. Someone pointed out I'm struggling with the level of getting this running is great, but I have people that I work with. I'm staring at them right now, and they will pull the plug out of the computer if it confuses them. And so this would have to be set up and be very seamless.
So
And
the users, the people who use, first of all, they got to at least be interested in Claude and doing chat. If they're not doing that, this is not for them. Like,
so we're not far enough along where we're giving this to people who are not technically
well, so
deep yet.
I'm just going to again I'm going to state something maybe slightly hyperbolic, but
Okay.
I'm going to say it anyway. You can avoid things like Claude and ChatGPT, but only for so long. This is a real shift. It's as big or bigger than mobile, probably bigger. I think it's bigger than maybe desktop computing. This is a monstrous thing that's happening here. And it's being built on this layer right now of MCPs, but also agents, because the next level is you can, instead of having these Claude be the thing, you can build, you now have little software programs called agents that are smart and can make decisions and do stuff. And they're going to be the things that are doing this. And so they're like looking at your inbox and they're deciding what emails need to get escalated. And they are escalating those emails, and they're creating records in your FileMaker database or sending out invoices when a level gets to be a certain size. But that's why 2025 is the year when this all changes.
Yeah, I'm not saying not do it, but but this, okay, so just bear with me here momentarily, right? So a moment ago, and this was by accident. So one of the people in the live stream goes, "Hey, I used the generator tool that you created 4 or 5 years ago to do this. Just used it."
Yeah,
I don't, but the problem, the velocity of this is going so fast
it is.
that here's my problem. I have to build a skill set. Maybe all of you are brilliant, but Richard has to build a skill set. It'll take me months to build a skill set. Then I can sell the skill set. The problem is we all know is that the shit that I learned right now may be invalid in 4 or 5 or 6 months. And so the question is what should I be learning so I'm learning something that doesn't
Yeah.
immediately get thrown away, right? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
So I'm going to give you some hints because that's definitely true. So I should be clear. So what we're facing, I mean, it's a monstrous change that's happening. It doesn't
It
mean
is.
like all the FileMaker, and I want the other thing I said before, it's really important, is let's say this is all the FileMaker stuff you've ever done,
Okay. Yes. Okay.
right? That still works. It's just that you're gonna plug an MCP server and a chat bot on top of it,
Mhm.
and it's going to use that data.
Yeah,
Or
which
it's
I'm all for. I just want to
yeah.
be, but it's like the same problem you're having with your idea of your Kickstarter thing is that you could build something, but then we could put the money in. Not that I'm not worried about $100, but the point is that you could build something, and then Claire says, "Oh yeah, we have this. We didn't bother to tell you because we're awesome. We built this, and now you're invalidated." And so,
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to talk about is the concepts at a high level, not necessarily the technical implementations.
yeah,
Concepts at a high level. AI is here. It is a big giant thing, and it is definitely changing everything in our industry. Some
yeah,
places
and
faster than others.
yeah, what
So
I need to do is I need to target things that will have a high recurring value, high
this
returning
one
value.
is the biggest one on the planet right now. MCPs. Understand what MCPs can do and understand how to start implementing them. And I'm going to give you a hint on a way to do that easier. And I
Okay.
happen to know Claris is working on this as well, so
Mhm.
this is coming. But the idea of I mean, think about it this way. I'm going to take my FileMaker data and every other app that we use, and I'm going to expose it to what AI can do. That's what we're talking
Mhm.
about here. And
Yes.
so the first way we talked about it is Claude, right? I can
Yeah.
now, within Claude, rather than having to write a bunch of I didn't have to write any code that said, look at my calendar, find the events, create the events,
Hmm.
and I didn't write that.
Mm.
Claude did that.
So you
Claude
didn't
did that
have
because it
to.
knew how to search my calendar and it
Mhm.
knew how to create events, and it figured out
Mm.
how to glue those two things together. I no longer had to figure that out, right?
That's
That's the
nice.
magic that's happening. If you can create tools, and that's the important word, tools that can connect to Claude or connect to agents or connect to MCPs, then you are hooking those tools into this ecosystem, which is
Right.
blowing up. Like it's just blowing up. It's becoming a very big thing.
Okay.
Right? So at the stage we are right now, MCPs are popping up everywhere. There's thousands of them, literally. If you do a search for um, MCP servers, just do
Mm-hmm.
an MCP search.
Hmm.
Awesome MCP servers. Here's MCP servers, right? You're going to
Hmm.
find thousands of them. They connect to everything you can possibly think of, including FileMaker. So this is Airbnb MCP server.
Mm.
What else we got here? I'm trying to see if there's anything for like um you know what? I know what's the place
So
that
what
has
is this? So what is
so
it? MCP dot whatever? Oh, pipe dream. Okay.
Pipedream's another one of these platforms like kind of like Connect
Hmm.
MCP servers. So you just go through and do some investigation on this stuff, and you will see they're going to have connections to everything, and you're going to be able to plug them into something like Claude, and
Hmm.
then that's kind of the glue code is just between all that stuff.
Yeah, what I have to find, it's like anything else in life, you have to find the killer app that people are willing to pay money for, right? And what is that gonna be, right? Or the 10 killer apps, or if I go to these guys and say, hey, let's use AI, where can I?
Those guys are not the customers for this right now. Don't even bother. Like
Okay.
it's not.
Okay.
Unless they're willing to use Claude or some other
Hmm.
chat, it's
Hmm.
not a thing. There's
Okay.
a lot of people who are just not looking at at these tools.
Okay.
I use Claude and ChatGPT and Cursor all day. I do it for pretty much every part of my work today is centered in those tools. So I start when I want to sit down and do a new project plan. I work with Claude to come up with the project plan. And then I take that project plan, I plug it into Cursor and I say, write the code for me. And it does it. And
Wow.
and so, but I use it also for like, okay, I need to write, like I wrote my presentation, my at Engage, I did an all-day training on integration.
Mm-hmm.
I used Claude to write the entire thing.
Mm.
I just iterated with Claude as like a collaborator, as like an editor.
Mm.
Like this, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? It's the first thing you have to do is start using these tools so you can get a sense for what they can do.
What they could
Because
do.
if you're not there, the rest of the stuff isn't going to matter.
Yeah. So I
But
need to find something I interest me that everyone has to find something interest them, play with
so I
it.
can give you so here's something to try with ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
They have this thing. I might be out of them for my. Oh, let me see. I might be out of deep research credits. Let me see. No, I got some. So if you go into ChatGPT
Uh-huh.
and there's a button down here called deep research. You click
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh.
and you come in here and take any topic you want, anything
Okay.
that's interesting to you, and say,
Right.
I want a detailed report on this topic. It's going to come back and ask you for a few clarifying questions. And then it's going to go out and spend 10 to 20 minutes searching the internet, pulling together all the sources, and it will produce for you a research grade paper on that topic. You want to search on, I don't know, um, the market for helicopter pilots, contracting.
No, no.
Try it. Seriously, try it. Like you will be shocked at what comes back.
Okay.
You will be amazed. Anything that you used to spend like 3 days Google searching and trying to find all those sources, ChatGPT can do that for you in just a few minutes. And
With the deep research. Okay. Yeah.
by the way, you're not doing it. You type the questions in, then you walk away and have lunch, and then you come back and you've got your report. So
Wow.
you got to get started there. Then the next thing is, okay, I get it. Now I see that I can use these tools to like glue together all these different services that I'm using and like tell it to like, hey, update my timesheet, make sure it's up to date. And it will just go do it if it has the tools. So now how do I make the tools? And that's what MCP servers are.
Okay.
Okay. And so MCP servers, the way that I would get started for right now, Claris is going to do
Yes.
something like this. N8N is a great way to get going. And like I've got an MCP server that I wrote that actually calls FileMaker to get stuff. And let's see if we can make it. I don't know. I know at least part of it's going to work, but I don't know if all of it's going to work. Let's see. I want to disable harvest because I don't want it to get in the way right now. So we'll disable that. And I'm going to quit Claude and relaunch so it picks up my latest tools. We'll see. No, it's still only picking up one. Oh, did I not save this? Maybe I didn't save it. Saved it. It should have these two tools, get people and no, it's not get people. It's actually this should be get top sales. So this is kind of like you've seen Node-RED, you've seen Connect, this is Connect will have this feature at some point because it's not, they're very aware of MCPs and they know that they have to do something like this and they'll do something like it. But for right now, N8N is pretty good. So get top sales, and if we're lucky now, Claude will pick this up. Let me quit and relaunch. If we're not, we'll try the simplest one and see what it comes up with.
So now I have AI anxiety that I'm being left behind. Now I have to go and study all weekend.
Just use the tools to do the research.
Okay.
Tools to do the research.
I'll use the tools to do the research.
So,
Margaret, I'm having anxiety. I need a therapist session here. I'm
so
having anxiety.
Claude is, we'll have to come back. We'll come back later and we'll do whole things on this because it's a big deal. But so now I've got this FileMaker Auto thing in here and it's got a couple of tools. One, it's got a hello thing, but it can also get people. So let's just see what it will pull back. That's not people though. That wasn't what it's supposed to be, but I thought I said get top sales. Let me save this one more time. It's active. Get the top 10 sales, get top sales. Should be that. let's give Claude one more refresh, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay. Yeah, it's you were taught. Yeah.
Get top sales. Here we go. So get me the top sales from FileMaker Auto. And let's see if it does that first. So it's going to ask me if I can use that tool.
Okay.
So I can either say always allow or allow once, right?
Okay.
Let's do allow once. So it's now, if everything's working right, it's calling my FileMaker database. And here's all the data, right? So it just found all the data, right? The data shows ranging from 5,000 to 1,600. Okay, great. Okay, now here's where it gets freaking cool.
Okay.
Now let's do this. So can you, first of all, make a nice table? Maybe with sortable columns.
Okay.
Now it's going to make a little app.
Okay. What, a JavaScript app? Is that what it's doing here?
It's going to make, you'll wait till this is done. You're going to see it's going to pop up right here. Take a little bit. It's taking the data we just pulled down. I asked it to generate a table, and I said, make it sortable. So it's going to make something with JavaScript probably. And that's what it's doing here. It's writing all the HTML and the CSS and everything that needs to do this. And it is going to, at the end, give us a nice little table of everything in it.
This is so beyond awesome. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm like, you got any insight?
So it's taking a while here. There's a lot of data that's crunching through, but the thing that's happening, I want to make clear is it's building a UI for us based on demand right here, based on data we pulled in. And once I have tools pointing at whatever I need to get data from, I can have it make little apps for me for just about anything. So it's listing out all the data that it found from before. And it's building an app. So not only do you get to ask questions, but you can generate what they call artifacts that are going to you could do this, go away, get your coffee, get your lunch, and come back. And when it's done, you're going to get a nice report. So this is Claude, which is one of the chats. There it is. Look at this. Look at this. I just built this.
Oh man.
This is real data. This is real data from our database, right? From years ago, some of it. But this is like looking back for the largest sales in a category I put together just to do this. But I can search, right? I can say GoZync, live searching, right? Ledger link, right? Auto.
So you built a disposable, limited use, throwaway app, or Claude did it at your behest.
That's correct.
Now, where's this? Is it the JavaScript? Is it living anywhere? Or is it just
living in
your
this?
browser?
It's living in right here. You can share these if you want. Now, the state of the technology right now is that if you wanted new data, you'd have to go through the same process again. You'd have to regenerate the app.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're talking about generation here. So what the tools did is they let you bring in the data into the chat, which is loading it into context. And once it's into context, you can do things like say, okay, take that data and make me a table, right? I could also say, make me a bar chart, summarized by month. And it would do that. It would make me sales by month kind of thing. So what MCP servers are the key to this. It's like, that's what's happening right now. Everybody's doing this because what people realized is they can just use Claude to get like all kinds of data out of their systems and make little nice apps, do analysis, hey, what's my latest, what were the sales numbers today? Like, you could just ask that. You don't even have to open up FileMaker. You could just ask, what is my sales data today for today? And it would query your FileMaker database to get that and give you a report, right? So that is what MCP servers are enabling, along with AI, is the ability to connect your private data to the to things like chat. So that's it. That's what MCP servers are. It's a big thing. Like I said, N8N's got a nice thing you can play around with.
Stop.
With this.
8 a.m. What do you, I can't even see your screen.
N8N is it's N8N. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. N8N.com.
Oh, N8N. Okay, my screener is sufficiently small. I couldn't see that.
N8N. It's a thing like Zapier, and like Zapier has these too. Zapier's got them. N8N does. There's a bunch of them, and Connect will, I'm sure, have MCPs in them. And so the idea that an MCP server can make your data from your FileMaker systems, not only can it make it available to chat to where you can analyze it, but you can also say like, hey, if you have a FileMaker database that tracks your phone calls, like when you're done with a phone call with a client, you can say, I just had a call with so-and-so, and this is what we talked about. Put that in my CRM. And
I could use that almost immediately, right? That'd be just to help with
that's what you can do.
Helping with busy work, removing busy work.
Exactly. I mean, look at what I did when in that chat about my
time entries and
time entries. Right. I said, look at my calendar and make my time entries based on my calendar.
No, my engineers
didn't have to go do that, time. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So make my calendar, and then by the way, look at my time entries and make the bill for my customer.
No, it's like if I show my engineers this video, they're going to lose their mind. Because nothing they hate more than logging their time. They like working. They don't like to document the fact that they did for someone. So yes, welcome to.
So I do things like when I'm working in because one of the other MCP servers I have in Claude is it's actually also in Cursor. It's the same one, the harvest one, but I also have GitHub. So if I'm working on code and I'm committing to GitHub, and I'm putting in all the notes of everything I do, at the end of that process, I can just say, hey, check my commit history for today, summarize that into a building. Just create it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Are you starting to get a sense for what we're dealing with here?
No, I am just I'm overwrought with anxiety and concern and self-doubt.
It's exciting, man. This is a huge opportunity. The thing to remember is all the FileMaker stuff you've ever done is still valid in this new world.
Yeah, that's an essential message. We need to bang on that because all we're doing is once again, I think if you can find the areas that suck in your life and you can get AI to help you with that suckage,
Bingo,
I think that's
right?
I think that's the way to attack that. That's what we did here.
Real quick, if you're looking at this, real quick, just looking at this, what I did here. So by the way, N8N does have a FileMaker connector, which you can use. So I could go in and just use this is probably the easiest way to get started. It's a FileMaker tool. You go in, you enter your credentials, and then you can pick, what are you going to do? Create a record, delete, just like you can in Connect. Same idea, right? So you can do that. Or what I did, because I was trying to learn some things, is I want to use OData, and I want to use AutoFMS. So I just use HTTP requests to run a FileMaker script. That's all I did. Simple stuff. And then in this other one here, when I said get top sales, I just used an HTTP request connector, and I wrote an OData request to get the top sales. That's it. This is just pulling back FileMaker data. This is not, so you can run scripts, you can query data, you can update data in your FileMaker databases, and it can all work perfectly inside of this new paradigm of AI. Works fine. So yes, we're going to have to change some of the ways we do things. Yes, we don't have code generation the way we want inside of FileMaker, but in terms of creating value with AI and FileMaker systems, we
managed to do that. I just focused on where these people hated doing. They hated writing stuff down, so they just voice dictated. But this is even better because this is interacting with the data in a more meaningful way.
So with the voice dictation, like you added, what the LLMs bring to that is the LLMs can actually know what projects you should be working on, and they
Mhm.
should be able to parse right out of what you say. This
Yeah,
is
we turn those on. Yeah, you've heard of Assembly AI. Assembly AI is a service that we're using for that, and they had different levels of I will call smartness, right,
yeah.
with the AI. And I wrote a complaint letter to the company. I said, "Man, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's like a monkey got loose of the keyboard. It sucks." They said, "Well, did you turn up the?" I'm going to say the lack of a better word, the smartness meter, and which costs more money. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there should be a smartness meter. And I went to my guy, he goes, it's in default stupid mode. I said, well, turn that for all the way up, like to 10, right? And well, that'll cost us a whole penny per recording. Who
I know.
gives a Who gives a We're talking $1 million aircraft here. No
Yeah.
one gives it. Turn it
That's
up.
right.
Oh, suddenly it's brilliant. Oh, we
Yeah.
know exactly what we're doing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
but don't forget to turn the smart meter high. It'll cost you more money, but only if you're doing, 10,000 transactions a day. So, wow, Todd, I'm
So the
overwhelmed with
thing that
your stuff.
the big takeaway, I really want to make this point,
Mm,
is that yes, there's some things we would love to have inside of FileMaker, like code generation, that we don't have yet. But the real big movements in AI are what I just showed, which is getting data to chats and agents. That's the next thing.
hmm Yeah.
And you can do that today. There is nothing stopping you from
hmm
taking FileMaker data and plugging it right into this whole new neocortex, this AI chat
hmm
agent thing. It works great. There's no reason to be afraid of it. And
Okay.
I would recommend everybody start
We
exploring.
need a class, and you go so fast in your class. We need a class where you have a sample file with sample data, and everyone builds this, and then they're done with that. They have a Claude that will do something useful, and once they have that baseline skill set, then it will open their eyes. I see that.
We're at the I'm on the bleeding edge here. There's no question. Like this is the bleeding edge. There are a lot of people who work in in regular languages like Go and JavaScript and things who don't think AI is that cool yet. I think
hmm
they just haven't tried recently. What part of the problem is they tried 6 months ago and it didn't work for them. And they were a very good programmer. And 6 months ago, the thing was dumber than them. And it's
Yes.
probably not today. Like every couple months, the AIs improve. It's to the point now that with coding, like in TypeScript,
hmm
what I do mostly is just plan. I plan and give feedback, and then it just writes the code. That's the world we're in
mm
now, and it's going to it's and you can use FileMaker in this in the way that I've talked about it. And eventually,
hmm
hopefully, we get, Studio and Connect will have these tools first class so that this kind of stuff can be done there. I know that's what they're aiming for. I know. I mean, they're not dumb. Like they get where things are and they're working on this stuff. So is it early? Maybe. But by the end of 2025, I don't know that you can just pretend that AI isn't a thing.
Doesn't exist. No, I get all that.
You
Well,
got
the
to be
next
you
thing
got to
for
be
me is
thinking.
the I need to find something highly useful that will be high value that I want. So when it doesn't work the first 5 times I try it, I want to continue and keep banging on until I get it to work correctly. I need something that will provide value for me like that at a personal level.
Sure.
So
Yeah, no, I get it. You want to have something that you'll feel I
yeah,
know it's hard to build things when they have you don't feel any like connection to them. Like who cares about Hello World, you know?
yeah,
That's kind of why I like the top sales one because I can start making those charts and those are actual
yeah.
those are from our shopping cart. Those are like people buying stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that's real. That's real
Yeah,
stuff.
real stuff.
And like I said, we have this random we have a we should talk about the randomizer someday because that's kind of cool. We can randomize your data so you can use
Really? Okay.
demos and things like that. That's what I
Yeah,
did.
we ended up dumping all the data for starting point. Then we run a service through an API and bring in sample data,
Yeah, that's
and
what we
then
do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
And it
then
makes it great because now we can use pretty much any solution that's ours or that a customer gives us the permission to do, and we can just
mhm.
randomize all the data or anonymize
That's
it. Actually, randomize isn't right.
yeah.
Anonymize it, and then we're good.
Anonymize it. Okay, cool. Other questions, Margaret? I mean, I can't
We're
believe I'm the
way
only one.
over, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
I know. I
Is
just
anybody still there?
Oh,
uh
yes, we had people still there.
All right, I got to get a glass with some ice because I got to have some fake whiskey here. I'll be right back.
nah. Okay, yeah. We have any questions from anyone at this point? Just ask Claude.
uh, Yeah. There was a discussion earlier about can you touch on the web backend? People asking.
Yeah, I saw that with Miguel. The problem is it's 90 minutes. We haven't even touched that yet. In fact, we're past that. Now we're at
I know we're in a totally
100
different
we're at
topic.
102 minutes now. So yeah. So
How do you connect Claude to N8N? Never mind, I just asked Claude.
I know everyone wants the answers to how to turn this on, but it's bleeding
guess
edge.
is-
And
All right, here we go.
there we go. There's Todd. We got his drink.
Zero proof whiskey.
Zero proof whiskey. Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm glad he's here. This is big. And so for everyone, there's going to be a little bit of an operational, we're going to be doing some more training that'll be more conventional, I'll say. And then we're going to be heading into launch mode on FileMaker 22, whatever that is. We have emails out to Claris trying to get things scheduled. So at some point we're going to have Todd back on that. We'll probably have Wim
Yeah.
DeCourt on that. Ernest blessed us, said he didn't have time, but we wish us the best as we go and do what he do. So
He's making
that's,
MCP servers is what he's doing.
is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
having all kinds of fun.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Yeah, well, then he's in the middle of that too, so that's awesome. All right, cool. Well, that's about it for today. People want to check out, once again, my takeaway is AutoFMS, deploy, and then automatic. And now that I understand what those mean, I have actually said I'm already installed it and using it. And once we, at least for RCC, we manage, I don't know, 100 some odd servers, 200 servers, something like that. So manage is probably the wrong word.
Right.
If they blow up,
You're
then we
gonna
get a
us all-
call.
You're going to get us to 3,000. That's what we're
Yeah,
we're like,
no,
we're
I
like
think-
2,700 right now. So
Yeah, no, we're gonna add more. You're gonna be up to 3,000 with that, and then that much more pressure to make bug-free applications, right? So
it really helps to have a lot of people use.
put some pressure on, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. Did we just lose him?
I think he might have just died.
Using it, you get all the weird edge
Oh.
cases and really.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Okay.
your internet stopped for
My,
a second.
my
so-
connection was unstable. It says I don't know what.
Oh,
that is.
okay.
Yeah, we
The-
got
the-
what you said at
The
very high
presenter is
speed.
unstable. He's on the bottle.
People saying this week was amazing. Thank you. Bleeping awesome week. Thank you, Todd and our CC crew.
Cool. I am worn out. Margaret, I need a therapist call. I feel like I'm having anxiety about this AI thing.
So what do you think? Is this stuff going to be the best ever? You all going to download AutoFMS? You're going to be AI aficionados? You're going to be converted to agents? We all get to be agents, man. It's really cool. Or we get to work with agents.
That will be good. We'll
We're
look
all going
forward
to have
that.
dozens of agents doing all kinds of things for us by the end of next year.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have to shelve it till tomorrow at this point. All the mechanics in here are staring at me, so I have to go talk to them. They tell me to get my shit out of here. So it's Friday.
All
They
right.
want to go home. So
Yeah, who doesn't?
all right, Mr. Todd. Thank you, sir.
No.